I put water in your glass.
You did?
Yeah, because you told me to. Master.
And yet it tastes amazing. So
Well, yeah, absolutely.
it's fine. Oops. What's going on, everybody? Starting with a blunder. We are the Bourbonists. We have
Joseph.
Adam.
Are you ready?
Pause.
And Dan.
Are you ready for this guy?
Get ready.
And now everyone tunes off.
Hey, welcome back. Took a couple weeks off. My entire family got sick. I still have lingerings in the nostrils, if you can't tell. But we are back. We are back. We're every time we come back, I feel refreshed, renewed, ready to take on the world.
That's because you're not as sick anymore.
That first trip back to the gym, though, sucks.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. Especially when you don't know your body well enough, so you think you're ready, but you're not. You start lifting, and it's like, stop! I need this, I need this energy to rest.
Your mind's like, I'm ready, and then you start warming up, and your body goes, nope.
Ready to poop?
My in-laws and I are doing a push-up challenge, and
I'm guessing her parents. And
yeah. Although my twin brother Michael is also kind of doing it on his own, but more just keeping pace with me.
I loved running into your father-in-law at the gym. He's in shape, man.
Oh yeah,
he was doing deadlifts and stuff. And I'm like, what are you? He's 56.
I think something like that. But so our goal is by the end of the year to have done 250,000 push-ups between the five of us.
Oh, okay. I was like, each? Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna go past that because that was just if we did 100 push-ups a day.
Yeah.
And Grayson, he started like doing 125, 150. One day he did 200, and so he shot up. And so I couldn't have it. And so since the beginning of the year, I've done 6,300 push-ups.
Yikes.
And I think he's at 68.
Yeah.
So I'm catching up. But at one point, he was like 1,200 push-ups ahead of me. And then this past...
Grayson, we can't have that,
No,
man.
no.
We can't have that.
It's just not appropriate.
Honestly, Grayson, I expected more from you. You should be doing more.
So in the last 7 days, today included, I've done 1,800 push-ups.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I'm proud of you.
I've
Me
not
too.
done that.
But so the first couple of days, it was rough. I mean, but I noticed like 2 weeks in, my body started conditioning to it, and it was more just time consuming. But you start doing 20 at a time, 25 at a time, and in an hour's time, you can do 300 push-ups.
I can't.
One could do that.
One could, yes.
Allegedly.
I incline benched 315 today
Well,
for 36 reps.
that's more than I can do.
Attaboy.
Not all at once.
You know what I did?
That's
but
impressive.
4 reps at 8. Is that 36? No. 4 times 8.
30.
32.
You know what a pet peeve of mine is?
What?
Those one-uppers. Here I am, humbly boasting of myself and my great physique and abilities, and you start throwing up these numbers that... Jerk.
Sorry.
You're also an ogre. So, I mean,
You're also a beast of a man.
You're also a freaking ogre, so let's just not.
I'm honestly surprised you didn't get like some bull ring in your nose. And then a helmet with horns.
Yeah, that would be quite the look.
That would be quite.
Every time you walk in the house, you just hear.
Just go to the gym and only wear that to the gym. I mean, and shorts. But
Before you start squatting, you just start flicking dirt behind you.
we're talking about pet peeves today. Thank you for introducing that topic, Joseph. We are drinking investment whiskey. Their maple Ozark American whiskey aged in maple syrup barrels. So essentially, they bought a barrel of Demetrius Cain's or Nobleton's whiskey, and then they took it, and they don't. So most whiskeys will say, so like Angel's Envy is finished in port barrels. One of the staples of the whiskey community is careful of whiskey that's finished in something because it usually means it's trying to hide the taste of bad whiskey. What these guys want to do is accentuate the whiskey. So most of the time, finish means a couple months, 6 months, maybe even a year finishing in a barrel. This is aged for 8 days in a maple syrup barrel, which the maple syrup came from Demetrius' farm. So it's all local.
Of course it did.
And then, and it's fantastic. It's just like, it's great whiskey. And then on the tail end is that maple finish.
Well, now it's amazing. It's now who is Investment Whiskey?
So they are. Help me. Well, I met Mike and Dave. They're the two main guys. They're actually going to be on the podcast next month as our guests. So we'll have multiple guests next month. But yes, our Wednesday wind down will be devoted to them. They did finished in Madeira casks. They've done one in Jamaican rum. They did a French oak cask. And again, it's not aging it for an extended period of time. It's just to accentuate the taste of the whiskey that's already there.
Right.
It's so good because it's a niche concept. Because you think of it like, oh, okay, so it's terrible whiskey that's aged so that it tastes better. No, they're literally just adding a flavor to the whiskey that's already there.
And they're taking amazing whiskey already. And then
100%.
all they're doing is sticking it in a specific cask for a specific flavor to kind of almost accentuate.
Yep.
I think that's the right word. The already amazing whiskey that's there. And they're only doing it for a week, 2 weeks tops.
Yep.
So, I mean...
Now, you might think we're splitting hairs of all these definitions, but if you try this, you'll know that
You'll understand what we're talking about.
That, and if you recognize, if Dan pulls his hat off, he actually has no hairs to split to begin with. So,
True.
Dan can't even do it.
Yeah, he couldn't even want
Talk about a guy one-upping you.
Yeah.
the nerve of this guy.
Hey, cue ball. Shut the hell up.
Hey, come on. Why don't you go shine your bald spot?
8-ball corner pocket, bud.
And we are smoking the
Pot.
the Room 101 Connecticut Farce. Shout out Matt Booth, Boofy baby. Can't wait to have you on the podcast. Fantastic cigar.
Yeah.
Just I've never had a bad Room 101. I don't think there is one.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. I doubt it.
Not yet.
I highly doubt it. And he also is like a refined jewelry maker. He has like the weird. He has his own gin, Room 101 gin. Which,
He was also in the military, wasn't he?
yeah, he was a Marine,
Yeah.
and so it's
That's
just
cool.
dude. He's just all around awesome guy.
He's-
Can't wait for you guys to meet him. So anyway, pet peeves today. Just keeping it a little lighthearted, a little.
It's always fun to laugh at yourself and others. Recognize your own lack of charity towards other people.
So do you guys have like 100%? Do you guys have like a pet peeve that trumps all others? You know what I mean?
bad drivers?
I'd prefer if you didn't talk about women that way on our podcast.
Oh, it's
I don't know if he said that.
no, but he knew what I meant. He knew what I meant.
Yeah, women are my pet peeve.
You know, another pet peeve is.
What are you, gay?
Never mind.
Never mind. When someone says never mind.
It means it wasn't.
It wasn't appropriate. It wasn't nice.
Yeah, it
no,
wasn't
bad
nice.
drivers.
Yeah, bad
Accentuate on that. Elaborate, not accentuate.
Yeah,
Whatever.
accentuate that.
You're so fancy.
Bad drivers.
Wait for it. No, this happened not too long ago. I've seen this just so many times. Someone is, like just in a regular size car, and they're going to make a turn, and they swing wide for it. Like, visually, I'm upset that I had to see this. Why'd you swing wide? There is no...
You don't have a tractor trailer.
It's not a square curb that you're going around. Like, it's rounded, you dumb butt.
You have an SUV, you can pop a curb once in a while. You're all right.
It's good for the suspensions. But no,
Wear them a little bit.
but they literally went over the line to make their turn. I was like, there was no need for that. Anyways, I've seen it. I've seen it just. I mean, here, not enough to. like think about all the time. But when I see it, I'm like, again, why? You know, it comes to mind. And
Yeah. It's not necessary.
no, it's not necessary.
What's
The number one thing that drives me up a wall is when someone gets passive aggressive with me. Because when someone gets passive aggressive to me, especially if they look me in the eye and they're passive aggressive, then I'm like, all right, well now you're about to get full blown aggression and violence.
You were passive. I'm not. Hello.
I'm about
Nice
to put
meet you.
I'm about to put the aggressiveness in passive aggressive because you're about to wear my knuckles in your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, but whenever because at that point it's like, listen. You're telling me you have a problem, but you're not telling me what the problem is.
Yeah.
There's something I did that pissed you off. Great. I do that all the time. It's kind of it's
Let's
a nice
talk about it.
it's a pastime of us Keithleys to piss people off. That's why whenever someone goes, "Hey, are you a Keithley? Is your brother X, Y, or Z?" And I go, shit, what'd they do?
Yeah. What happened?
Like I was at the bank and I go walking in and this teller goes, "Keithley, it's your dad, Mike." And I go, damn it, what'd he do?
Did you rob you guys once?
I go, that depends on what was said. And he goes, "No, actually, Mike's a great customer. He's very kind, very friendly whenever he comes in, always very respectful." And I go, "Then that's my dad."
That guy. Hang on to
That's
that.
funny.
Yeah,
That's his
hey.
brother.
Hang on to that sentiment there, bud.
That's right.
And then I looked at him and I go, "F you, bud.
Just going to deteriorate the family name really
Give
quick.
me my money. Put all the money in the bag."
Oh no, go ahead.
No.
Well, quick side tangent. There was and I want to quickly get back to pet peeves, but someone made a comment to me. He said that it's actually a great insult to someone to not like be honest to not to be honest to their face. So if you do something to offend me, I'm basically saying you're not man enough to be able to take like my reproach, my correction, my hey, let's talk about this.
Sure.
And so I think it's kind of wimpy to just be all like pouty and passive aggressive about it. Like if you're going to hold on to it, either address it or learn to deal with it. But if you can't do that, then let it go.
Well, and that's what's kind of because Jordan Peterson talks about like if someone does something that really kind of like irks you and really it's actually like he says if someone does something that's actually if basically society would deem it as something wrong, like if they wrong holy crap, words, Dan.
Good, bud.
No,
If they wrong
you're
you,
doing
there
great.
it is. Hey, keep it going, Dan.
Yeah,
you're
you're
all
doing
right.
great.
Third grade's just one step away.
The words you are using.
If those individuals end up wronging you, and it's something that society would deem as a general wrong, basically, the first time they do it, you hold on to it, you recognize it, but you don't say anything.
Yep.
Because it could be a fluke.
Right.
Sure.
It might not be a habit for them to do that.
Yeah.
It could have just been a one-time thing. If they do it a second time, he even says, recognize it, hold on to it, because then it's ammunition. Because if they do it a second time, chances are pretty high that they'll end up doing it a third time. And once they do it the third time, then you go, "Hey, I recognize this habit that you've, or this thing that you've been doing the past couple times. And it's been actually really irking me, and it's something we need to talk about."
Sure. Absolutely.
At that point. But during those times, like you can't let it eat at you. So if it's something that you are choosing not to address, then let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't just hold on to it and just not address it. I mean, I've got family members that are dealing with what they would call friends. And now, granted, they've told me some of the stuff that they've been doing, and it's extreme passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
And if I can't meet you with physical violence, I'll match your level.
Yeah.
I'll match your energy and go, "Listen, you want to play this game? I'm a Keithley. We're pros at burning bridges. So here we go."
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to another pet peeve is you guys are going to react, I know it, but like being interrupted, but in a certain way. It's like I'll be having a conversation with someone and someone else comes up and just completely cuts me off.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so rude. You know, but then it's an awkward thing because, especially when they cut you off right at the very end of like your conversation and it was about to end, and then they cut you off and like, I didn't have a chance to even say nice to talk to you, or hey, that was really funny, or you don't even get to end it. It's just like it ended, and it's such an awkward place to be at. But there's someone that does it to me pretty regularly. But then I found out that he pretty much does it to everybody, so I know it's not like personal, which makes it a little bit better.
There's some people I feel like they can't. You took a breath there. Did I just interrupt you?
No. No.
Yeah, I was interrupted.
Well, but that brings up a good point. Is when you're in good conversation, I think there's a polite way to do it, because you feel as though, like, if somebody takes a longer pause than a couple seconds, then I feel like you can kind of jump in and add to that conversational piece.
Right.
And that's kind of a gentlemanly way of being like, okay, cool, so you're done, right? And then you can just kind of keep going. But there are those people who are just completely oblivious to it. And then...
Yeah, it won't matter. They just jump in regardless.
Right, but what you just did right there, I was talking, but you added a snippet, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's conversational interrupting that's perfect because it stays on. But there are some people who are like, I'll be talking, and they'll be like, so anyway, you want to know what happened to me last week? And you're like, F off, dude. Like, I don't care. I mean, I do, but give me a chance to care because I'm still caring about my shit. Like,
Yeah, well, it's when they derail the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not adding to what you were saying. It's just a complete new book and novel.
Yeah.
what the hell was that?
You just cut him off.
No.
He was in the middle of...
It's okay. I'm over it.
He just drinks out of the bottle.
His face, man, that was fantastic. I'm over it.
Jackass.
through the lips and over the gums. But
stomach.
I mean, that's
Here we
what
go.
I mean. Here we do I would
Do it a fair
generalize and say we do a pretty good job at being able to kind of like recognize when one's done. I guess
Sure.
speaking,
Yeah.
and then even if there's a question, some of us like have a fairly good tendency. We're not perfect, but we have a fairly good tendency on going, "Oh, were you finished with that thought?"
Yep.
And then just making sure, like, can I kind of step in because there is something I would like to add on to.
Sure. Absolutely.
But again, we're not perfect, and so I mean, these things. It's the small pet peeves again are just the small kind of minute things that people do on a daily basis that get under our skin and just really
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to the bad drivers thing, and the only reason because like anytime you're like, and this is just a personal thing or people that I've dealt with before or whatever, it. Like you tell them that I can't stand bad drivers, and then their instant comment is like, "Well, are you really that good?" And you're like, "Actually, yeah, I'm
way better than you, bud."
Sorry, pal. Like everybody in my family, if you were to go to my kids, okay, 2 of my children who can recognize this, but if you were to go to them and be like, "Hey, who would you prefer drive?" "Oh, Daddy, please." They're not mean about it, but at the same time, they recognize. Is they're like, "You don't have a lead foot." And
hey, Adam's wife cut off the episode about 10 seconds ago. And then come back here and wait about 9. Actually, let's wait just a good minute.
You said that,
Just skip
but
this
who I was
episode.
talking about was the twins' mom. They came like Jack came to me the other day. He was just like, "I'm so glad you know how to drive." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Mom's so bad. I'm scared for my life, Dad."
Well, thank you, son. Do my best.
But I also didn't start out that way.
Because I'm a man.
A manly man.
Be a man, you must be swift as a.
I changed my underwear.
What? You're two separate songs.
3 different songs.
No, but but I didn't start out that way. Like I was a terrible driver in my teens, but then I got in a couple accidents and realized, hey, I should probably pay attention and do all the things. But then I also, I was a car guy for a little while throughout my early 20s, and so, I wanted to drive all the time, and I wanted, and I got my first car by myself, but yeah, and then the passive aggressive thing just boggles my mind that people choose that. And yet, in the worst of the worst moments, I've chosen that sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it'll even be in the middle of, like, if I'm having a crap day, and then my wife is like, hey, I need you to know, and she'll just communicate something nice. I need you to know that this kind of bothered me. Would you mind not doing that anymore? Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll just fix everything. And then, like, walk, and she's like, start over.
You come back here, man, and
Start over.
Not gonna lie, if that was a guy, you deserve to get kicked in the balls. Like, let's try that again, bud. When you catch your breath.
I think my biggest pet peeve, and probably just because, and I think there's a psychology term called the recency fallacy, and essentially it means that the most recent big event or big feeling is how life is going right now. So the way that my counselor has put it is like, if you're driving a really reliable car, but then that reliable car bites the dust, you have a piece of crap car. Like, it's the recency fallacy. It was a reliable car until today, but it had a flat tire and the engine overheated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how my car is right now. And so I think pet peeves work the same way. It's the recency fallacy. It's the idea that this is what happened to me most recently, and therefore this is my biggest issue with life or the universe or culture or whatever you want to say. You know?
God.
Yeah.
Right. This is my biggest issue with God right now. Why would you allow this to happen? All I want is $1 million. What's wrong with you? But right now, what I'm dealing with is like, so there's an ecosystem within every workforce, especially if you're blue collar. Everybody works hard to make everybody else money. If one person sucks, then the rest of us don't make as much money as we should, or we lose out on customers or whatever. My biggest pet peeve, at least for right now, is people who don't understand that. It's people who are like, I'm going to do just enough to make mine, and then I can go relax. And then you're left hanging in the dust. And a lot of it has to do with communication. And you know, I'm a project coordinator for, you know, I've said this multiple times. You all know what I do. But, like, when I'm working on a project and then parts of that project fall apart because the person in charge of that part is not doing their job, then you have to pick up the pieces, and it goes back to your irresponsibility becomes somebody else's responsibility.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, and so it's and I think that's my biggest pet peeve is people who don't understand that.
What?
It's people who look at the world and they're like, I'm going to be out for me, and you're like, no. And then of course you could even trail that even further back to trees don't bear, like, the fruit that trees or things bear, they don't consume. We can take a lesson from nature of, like, we are not meant to make things for ourselves. We're meant to give to others and make sure that work is done for others so that others can cope, you know, so we can all copacetically live. And and in turn, you know, and my boss's favorite phrase is, if you work hard, then I work hard, then we all make more money. So, like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Well, some people don't freaking get it. You know what I mean?
I will say, at least from my point of view, if the boss is not working hard and he's relying upon his underlings to work hard first before he works hard, then he's not
100%.
And I was just going on based on what the literal words of what you just said. So I mean,
no, absolutely. And go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna. There was a thought that kind of came to me, and it was more of me playing devil's advocate on. So if someone ends up going, I'm going to do what I have to do for me, and then once I get that done, kind of everyone else is SOL. So then, like, just playing devil's advocate, my question is,
SOL stands for shit out of luck. Did you know that?
Dude, I'm so lost now. Oh my goodness.
So what you were saying?
I was expecting fastball, and you threw a curveball, and now I couldn't
now I
get
have to think.
I couldn't get the bat off my shoulders. I'm done. But
Sorry.
I actually, holy crap, my mind is like, it's kind of like if your fuel line's been cut and you're hitting the gas. That's kind of what my mind just, like, as soon as you said that, it just went,
There's just oil splurting somewhere. There's a leak. We don't know where.
Don't think too hard, Dan. My question was if someone ends up, so I was right. You had me second guessing myself on going, wait, was that actually what I meant to say?
From the airport. You're welcome.
Appreciate you, buddy. But So if I do what I'm minimally responsible for,
Yeah.
and I hit that responsibility line, then everything afterwards, I'm good. I hit my mark.
Yeah.
And my mark is to do what I'm minimally responsible for.
Yeah.
Basically, at that point, he did hit his responsibility.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. And I guess part of...
My question was more on, is it a bad thing if someone, because you are an overachiever, you are someone who goes above and beyond for the
most
job,
of the
for the
time,
people you
I
work
try
for.
to, yes.
We're talking majority here.
Yeah.
I'm not, so since you go above and beyond for other people and for the people you care for, the people who have given you a chance, would you say your pet peeve is more with individuals who don't match the same energy as you?
I think, yeah, but if you categorize it as that, then it's not fair. Like,
Well, that's why I'm asking.
right?
It's a
so
question.
no, and I get it. And when you categorize it that way, or when you phrase it that way, it's really not fair because nobody's going to care as much about your stuff as you do.
Right.
And so it's not so much that, oh, why didn't you care as much as I did? Because I can't make you do that. That's not fair. But what I'm saying is the people who, so I guess I shouldn't have said, I'm going to do the bare minimum, because the bare minimum is still doing your job. Right. And things will still get done. I'm talking about how, like, when you know you're part of an ecosystem, but you don't show up. Right. But you only show up for half of it, or it's usually it's good enough is not.
Things that only benefit you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest pet peeve for me is so a perfect example, like I have a roof going on right now, a project being done, and I was not told they were going to be there. It's been a 3-day job because of the weather. So it's been stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And I was not told that they were going to be there today. And that's mistake number one. You should do your job enough to let me know your team is going to be up on my roof. I should know that because I planned my day to where my wife could go to work and I watch the kids. But now that you need materials because of the mistake that you made of not communicating that you're going to be there, you should be responsible for getting those materials because it's your mistake for telling me. Because I was under the perfect impression that you weren't going to continue the roof until this weekend because it's supposed to be cold the rest of the week, like under 40.
It was a high of what, 37 today?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it should be of your state of mind as a part of this ecosystem of, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I didn't tell you that I was going to be there. Yeah. I should take care of what they need instead of calling you and being like, oh, well, they need this, so go get it. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
No, go.
I was just going to say, if you look at it in like a simplistic, more like villager, so like my mind immediately went to thinking of it in like a Native American village.
Yeah.
And let's say the hunter-gatherers had the plan to go out on Friday, Saturday.
Sure.
But then all of a sudden, 2 of the hunters come to you on Wednesday when you had plans on doing something else, like maybe being with your family or maybe doing something for the chief.
Right.
And all of a sudden they come to you and go, hey, we're going on a hunt. Where the hell are you?
And you're like, wait, hold on a second. We had a plan.
We were going Saturday.
Right. Mm-hmm. And this happens a lot in blue collar work. It just does.
It happens everywhere.
Pieces fall apart and people don't do their jobs. But yeah, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. It's like, dude, if I'm doing my job, you should do yours. And then if you screw up on your job, it's not my job to fix it. I think maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, oh, save me. You're an adult. Save yourself. Like, anybody coming to my house and saving me.
Or, I mean...
You know what I mean? Like, it's... Yeah.
Not communicating is a form of lack of responsibility.
100%.
Like, how are people supposed to be on the same page as you if you don't communicate what page you're on?
Yeah. Oh, that was good. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, hey, listen, every once in a while I have a good one.
We should do an episode on leadership because I think there's a lot to unpack there with what you guys are saying.
Absolutely.
Because, like, there's a time and a place to where enough just isn't enough. You know, if everyone does their job and there's something left over, you know, because it's just the nature of that job, what have you, you know, then who picks up that slack?
Right.
But I feel like we could do a whole
100%
on that.
Well, and that's something that happens at my work all the time, because especially when it comes to setting up and breaking down, or primarily setting up for the next event.
Yeah.
a lot of times there are there's 4 full-timers and then my boss.
Yeah.
And again, I work at a country club. We're serving
Doing all
it's
sorts
a
of
jack of all trades because
yeah.
they're so small. So we have to set up, we have to break down, we have to run the event, we have to upkeep. We pretty much have to like renovate and upkeep the clubhouse because it's an old mansion.
Yeah.
And so we have one maintenance guy, and he's almost 80 at this point. He came out of retirement just because he was bored, or he knew he was going to get bored, so he stayed at work. And plus, I also think his wife was like, "You ain't staying home," so he was like, "I guess I'm back." But
hey, you don't have a choice. I'm here.
But so we do everything, and not only do we do everything, but there's 3 to 4 individuals who are full-timers who are we're all 4 of us told, hey, figure it out.
Sure.
Like my general manager, she will give a general direction, but there are sometimes to where she's got so much on her plate because she does 3 different jobs for one person. Like she's one person, yet she has 3 different positions that all take up the managing of a country club.
Yeah.
And yet she has to do it all. And so sometimes she's like, hey, I'm at my wit's end. You guys, please figure this out. But then you get 2 to 3 different bosses who are trying to direct people in 2 to 3 different directions. And then so I've got a coworker who a lack of communication or bad communication drives him up a wall.
There's like a splash left. Oh, yeah, 100%.
And I completely understand that. But he like has a horrible problem to where he just gets so mad that he's like, I have to get out of the room before I end up like putting a hole in a wall.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I've learned to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Not just at work, but also other places. But I've learned to keep my mouth shut when people are saying, hey, we need to do this. We need to set this up here. We need they're trying to give direction as if it's the final direction. But I know that if I open my mouth, now 3 different directions are being put forward. And to people who are technically underneath us because they're not full-time, they're part-time, they're going to get they're going to get pulled in 3 to 4 different directions. And then all of a sudden the boss comes down and goes, why'd you guys do this? I wanted it this way. And it's the 4th direction to where I was like, you know what? In order to not add to the lack of communication, I'm going to just shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lack of communication is like a huge pet peeve. Just lack of good communication.
Yeah.
I feel like pet peeve doesn't quite do that one justice.
That's just...
It's like you get stung by a little mosquito, and you're like,
sweaty.
oh, that's so annoying. And then you're talking about more like a swarm of hornets. You're like, oh, it's such a pet peeve to get swarmed.
Like all of a sudden, an alligator takes your foot, and you're just like, that's unfortunate.
Man, I hate when that happens.
That's
every summer.
How many feet have you lost?
Give me that golf ball back.
All right.
Don't you want to go to your home?
So what's another pet peeve?
I think you have one. I'm thinking I have one, but it's stupid.
Well, let's see.
I guess that's what pet peeves are. It's just like stupid little annoyances.
Yeah.
But
Kitchen cabinets being left open.
I hate it so
yeah.
much. I hate it so, or more appropriately in my household, the dishwasher being left open.
That would be annoying too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I was loading it. Okay.
And then
why'd you stop?
You walk away, close it.
Yeah.
And then like somebody hits their shin on it, and you're like,
Oh, pet peeve.
you know what happened if you had closed that, nobody would have a scar on their shin.
All of a sudden, you get PTSD from razor scooters hitting your shin. You're just like,
Another one is like dirty counters. Now, and I mean more like somebody was cutting something on the counter on a cutting board. Juice spills onto the counter. It dries. It's sticky now. You set your cell phone down on the counter. You pick it up, and now your cell phone has something sticky on it.
Oh man,
Like, that's a pet peeve.
why are your counters sticky, bro?
Mine aren't. But growing up with 7 siblings, they often were.
Yep, I
And
get that.
it's like you're walking with all these groceries, and the counter, you've got like someone was making some gourmet food, and you have to like set everything down, clean the counters
Well, you
off.
would hope it's gourmet. Probably not.
You would
but,
hope.
yeah.
And then you have to clean the counters to set your stuff on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
That bothers me.
Oh yeah. No, I get that. Mine is, and this is hilarious because my dad listens to this episode. He's gonna laugh. but lights being left on.
I thought you were about to say bald people.
Dude, I
hate bald people.
I hate it so much. And my son does it all the time. When he goes in, so his room is the basement. Like, we gave him the basement, right? Except for my office, which is a small room off to the side. But I said, we're giving you this room. This is your place. This is your sanctuary, if you will. Treat it well. Treat it nice. Keep it clean, blah, 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 whatever. But every time he goes down, he has his own bathroom, and it's connected to the laundry room, and it's connected to my office. Every time he goes to the basement, he turns on his light. He turns on his overhead lights that are decorative. Mm-hmm. Then he turns on the under lights because he has a loft bed, so he has like a little space underneath it. Yeah. He turns on those lights. Then he goes into the bathroom. He turns on that light. Then he turns on the bathroom fan, and then he turns on the laundry room light. And then he goes into my office and turns the lights on. And I'm like, "Are you afraid we're going to run out of light? Like, are you? Why do you have to charge? You're costing me an extra $50 a freaking month because your entire space is lit.
You should remember that. And when he has his own house, go over and just do the exact same thing to him.
Hey, see, that's so funny because I used to do it as a kid.
Yeah.
And my dad threatened the same thing. He's like, "I'm gonna come over to your house and I'm gonna turn on the lights." And when I was a kid, I was like, "Do it. I don't care."
My father-in-law loves.
I love it.
My father-in-law loves sitting back at his kids' houses now and just watching them get annoyed about the same things that he got annoyed with them for doing. So like, "Oh, really? You don't like your cabinets being left open? Oh, what do you mean your bedroom light was left on?" And he's just sitting back on a couch and just watching, and it's so funny.
Hey, I'm not a professional, but I'm sure if you go to your children's house when they grow up and you leave all of their lights on and you look at them and go, "Hey, how does that feel?" I think that's a form of passive aggression.
That's true, and that would be a pet peeve of yours.
Yeah, I'd come over and I'd hit you.
Cyclical peeve.
Actually, it's just pet peeve galore.
Dan's gonna be like, "Seriously? Really, Dad?"
I'm gonna come over and break all the light switches, and you know what? Guess what? Now they're all off.
You want to have a pet peeve war?
Aggressive again? I dare you.
All right, Dad, let's peeve off.
Hey, you know what, Joseph?
I don't want to do that. Second thought, forget it. No, I didn't say that.
You know what, Joseph? You leave all my lights on again, I'm gonna turn your lights off.
Or
I'm gonna knock you out.
My wife came up with this fantastic idea.
Probably will.
She said we should start a TikTok channel that's devoted to like overreaction to small things.
That is one of my favorite things.
She was like, I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes like, "Hey, can you pass me the soda or can you pass me the butter?" No. "I hope you roll your car."
There's a guy on YouTube, and he does these videos of people
Every time. Sorry.
Don't interrupt me. There's a guy on YouTube. Pet peeve. I've been triggered.
Don't peeve me, boy.
There's a guy on YouTube that like he kind of does that. What you're talking about, where he'll open a refrigerator door really quick and then slam it shut and walk away. And it's making
like
fun
of overreaction.
Yeah,
normal things.
He's making fun of people who are just aggressive about everything. Yeah, he does a good job.
That's like, there was one time I was driving my sister. I think me and my sister went up to Deerworks to go get some snacks, and then it was a family thing. We came home, and she like slammed my car door. I've never gotten irritated about it until it seemed like it was on purpose. And so I get out of my car and I look at her, and I just looked at her for about 10 seconds and just watched her. And she opened up the garage door, and then finally she recognized I was staring at her, and she goes, "What, Dan?" I go, "You do that again, and I'm telling you right now, I'll break your windows."
"I'll make sure you don't walk tomorrow." Whoa, hey, it's a door. What's happening?
It's 30 degrees outside. Do you want to have car windows? Because I'll break them.
I'll win this fight.
Do you pay for that?
Can you go grab that for me? No. All right. Well, I hope your house burns down.
Next time you ask me for something, I'm just going to pay you with it.
Yeah.
You like getting knocked out by a salt shaker?
Joseph's like, yeah.
Another one.
Been there.
Another one. My sisters were notorious for this. My wife does it occasionally. Occasionally. They stand in the worst possible places. They plant themselves and they take root. And you are trying to move around the kitchen to do stuff. You know, maybe you're juggling 6 things at once. You're cooking dinner. You're trying to put dishes away. You're washing dishes. All these things, and they're just standing there in the worst spot. And I try to lovingly, oh Jordan, why don't you step over here? And then as she's walking, she's still getting in your way. And I mean, it's just like, honey, my sister Leah was so.
We're name dropping. All right.
I had to. All right. She was so good at that.
Go watch Channel 4, folks.
That's right. Yeah.
St. Louis Channel.
Now she stands for a living, but they have like an X on the ground to like stand here and talk.
She's got marks.
Yeah.
She knows where she's supposed to go.
She knows her. I was gonna say her.
I knew exactly.
Oh, I love you, Leah.
You know your place, Leah.
But Leah, you were so good and so bad at standing in the worst possible places in the kitchen and be so oblivious that I'm tripping over you and never move. And then she'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, and then not move. Or she'd take another step in the wrong direction. It's just like, golly.
I think that's like an overarching pet peeve of mine. It's like when you very lovingly are like, hey, can you not do that? And they're like, I'm sorry. And then they keep doing it. Like my wife's biggest thing, and I.
What did I do? Shut up.
Not you. But like I love. Okay.
No, you didn't do anything, Dan.
Yeah. No, you did nothing. You're perfect.
Fine.
Bulk bitch.
Fucking, you're so perfect. It's fantastic.
Mirrorhead.
You bounce off satellite signals, bud. So
That's a new one.
But so my wife and my son does this too, and now I know where he gets it from. So when my son Ben says that he wants to snuggle, he'll come with you and he'll get under the blanket in the morning. Like it's in the morning when they get up from bed or get out of bed and they want to just sit and chill for a minute.
Yep.
And he'll get under the blanket and we'll chill, but he won't stop freaking moving. And I'll look at him and I'll go, get comfortable. And he'll look at me like, what's that mean?
I would if I could.
Because he's 2, right?
Yeah.
But he's like kicking his feet and then shifting the blanket around, like doing all the things. But then my wife at night, she'll be like, we watch our shows or whatever. It sounds so like old. But she, we watch our shows and she'll sit with me and she's like, can we cuddle? And I have to think about it because that means I have to prep myself to be annoyed for like 5 minutes because she has to move for the next 5 minutes while she's sitting next to me and she'll, do one of these and then, I got to get here. And you're like, stop. And I told her one night, I kid you not, very, very seriously, not passive aggressively, but she's moving around.
You're lying.
And I'm just sitting there trying to watch the show, and I'm just. She kept moving, and I go, "Is there a problem?" She goes, "Wait, no, what's wrong?" And I go, "Stop moving." She was like, "But I'm not comfortable." I go, "Then go over there. Go get comfortable over there.
Your hair
Once you
keeps-
find it, you can come back."
Your hair keeps tickling in my nose. You keep pulling the covers off of me.
And then she thinks it's funny. So then she'll like purposely try to. I'm like, I am 3 times your size. I'll sit on you. Like I don't.
But hey, you want to be comfortable?
I'll place you somewhere where you can't move.
I like
See
it.
the divot in the couch that has your name on it.
See, I think it's kind of cute. Like when my wife knows what annoys me, and at the right time, she'll purposely do it.
At the right time is
Just-
the perfect sentence to add there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she'll give me a little wink at the end. She'll be like, I know you're not gonna hit me.
And then
I know you're not gonna do anything about it. I'm like, you're right.
And then all of a sudden you come home
see
from
that
Sherwood.
drywall over there? I patched it 7 times.
Then she'll be like, you'll be the one to patch it up. So
All of a sudden you come home from a bad day at Sherwin-Williams, and all of a sudden tuna casserole.
Tuna casserole.
oh, pet peeve.
Why is my martini not ready?
I asked for it shaken, not stirred.
Do you understand the difference?
I'm Hill.
See,
Joseph Hill.
pet peeves are where anger issues come from.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's more of just like the symptom.
All right, the only thing I can think of as of right now, any more pet peeves, honestly, is people who don't. Like, I'm a huge animal guy. Like, I wanted to be the next Steve Irwin when I was a kid. When he died, I cried for a month. Like I watched him every Saturday morning.
You're still crying.
And it also hurt because he looks identical to my uncle. Oh. And so there was like this weird.
My uncle died.
There was like it was like this weird feeling of like I feel like I lost somebody I know.
That's fair.
And but I love animals. I love all of it except for mosquitoes because I don't know your purpose. Bed bugs because they don't have a purpose.
I think they're just part of the curse.
And wasps because they're mean on purpose.
They'll suck your blood.
Actually, horseflies are worse.
Horseflies are, dude. I hated horseflies until I saw my grandfather. So I want to say like 20 years ago now, he bought a horse, and it's the only horse on his farm, which is hilarious because the horse now thinks it's a cow and it acts like a cow and it moves like it does. It moves like a cow, and it's so funny because it's the only horse he owns. But I saw one morning we were out there, trying to break her, which she was never breakable, but. There was a horsefly that landed on her, and my grandpa was probably 65, 60, just late 60s at the time, and he moved faster than anybody I'd ever seen. And there's a horsefly on her, and he just goes, and he snatched it, ripped off its head, and then threw the parts apart. And I was like, "This is what a man is. This is what manhood should be."
I respect
decapitating horseflies. But
that's the rite of passage right there.
Right. Horseflies are just like, it turns you into a man, so they have a purpose. So, but very few things I will kill on site, even spiders in the house. Like, I'll pick them up because 90% of the spiders that live in our area, and actually 90% of the spiders that live in the United States aren't poisonous. They may bite, but if you get rid of them fast enough. And anyway, so I'll pick them up and I'll put them outside or whatever. And I just... I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Every time you
That's
do
a
that...
pet peeve is people that
pick up spiders and...
and preserve them.
I thought you were about
I can't understand that.
Well, insects outnumber us 1,000,000,000,000 to 1. Spiders make sure that they don't.
Well,
like,
guess
they don't
what?
outrun us. And so
we have our work cut out for us. Every time that you've picked up a spider that I've been over, my first thought was, dude... Oh my God, what are you doing? Just kill it. Smush it. You have hands like bricks. Just smush it.
I can't. Because I know they have a purpose, and I know that they're just trying to eat and they're trying to survive, and I don't care. But people who don't take care of their animals, and what I mean mostly is people who take their dogs for walks, and then they take big old landmines on my front yard or in parks or where my kids play or whatever, and they don't pick up after their animal. It's like they can't wipe and they can't flush in nature. Why don't you pick up their shit?
It's part of your responsibility.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve. It's also a lack of respect for others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
100%.
My first thought, as soon as you mentioned dogs, I thought you were going to say people who abuse dogs. And I was about to interrupt you, found the word, and say those people have a special place in hell.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But
you can't abuse a dog.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "Oh, pit bulls are bad." Actually, they're the most nurturing dog. If you've met a bad pit bull, it's because their owner's a piece of crap.
All right.
Like their owner's not a nice person. But
It's pretty much the same with any dog.
It is. It's 100% is. Like Chihuahuas are supposed to be really nice dogs. Most of them are mean because they feel, I don't know,
Inferior?
Yeah, they
just
feel
shake.
inferior because
That's all they do. How does that hurt you?
But yeah, people who don't pick up after their dogs, like I had the person who used to live in this house. My neighbor's been here for like 15 years. Mm-hmm. So the person that used to live in this house, he would let his dog. His dogs were trained-ish to not run away, but they would go into his neighbor's yard and just dump on his neighbor's yard. And so one day, my neighbor was like, "I was done with it." And I go, "What'd you do, Steve?" And he goes, "I left him a little present on his front porch." And I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, I put his dog's landmine in a brown paper sack. I had the common decency not to light it on fire, but I put it in a brown paper sack, and his wife came home from work. And then I looked at his wife, and I go, "Hey, don't touch that bag." And she goes, "Why?" And he goes, "It's for your husband. He'll know what it's about." Never found any more poop in his yard.
I started laughing as soon as you brought up that story because I was thinking about what if after Steve a couple times told him, "Hey, stop, pick it up," all of a sudden Steve looks out his window and the guy who's walking the dog is taking the dump on his yard. It's
the guy, not the dog.
And he just looks at him.
Dude, Steve, my neighbor is one of the funniest dudes I've ever met in my life, and genuinely funny. Like, he doesn't try. Like me, I try to be funny, but like this guy's just genuine. So my father-in-law came over one day, and it looked similar to one of his old friends. I think we've told this story before. And like, and he goes, my father-in-law's name was Bill, and I think it was for like a gender reveal party that we had or whatever. And he's walking in the backyard, and he goes, "Hey, Stan," and I go, "Steve, that's my father-in-law, Bill." And Steve just stands there like dead eyes, and he just goes, "Go away, bad dream." And he just walked inside. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. He's such a cool dude.
I love when people can think that quick on their feet.
Oh my gosh, it's hysterical.
Well, that's what, like, a lot of the times it doesn't even, they're not thinking about that. It just comes out.
Oh, 100%.
And all of a sudden it just happens.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it so funny, is because I bet you if you brought that up to Steve, Steve was like,
What are you talking
half
about?
the time I don't even know what the hell's going on.
I don't remember saying that, but I'm sure it was funny.
That's what,
Go
like,
away, bad dream.
Go away, bedroom.
that's what one of my favorite, I think it was a Vine. One of my favorite Vines.
That's a throwback.
Yeah. I'm 27 and bald. One of my favorite Vines is there's this old guy, and he's just spraying his yard with water. And then all of a sudden he goes, 97% of the time, I have no idea what the I'm talking about. That's one of my favorites, and I always bring that up because honestly, it kind of rings true for me. Half the time, I'm just sending words out, and we're seeing what sticks.
You're like Michael Scott from The Office. You just start a sentence and hope by the end of it you have a conclusion or a point.
An
actual coherent sentence.
That's one of my favorite things about like people getting older, but they still keep their mind. Mm-hmm. So like my great aunt Al. So I think her name was Alice, but my great aunt Al.
I was going to say,
she lived to be 120 or 106, not 126, 106. Until she was 105, she walked a mile every day. She was sharp as a tack, like the sharpest, and she was just the funniest person. Like I remember near the end of her life. It was about 5-10 years ago now, I guess. But she was at my grandparents' house, and we were all having like Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. And she didn't have strong enough legs to get out of the chair she was sitting in. So she asked my mom to help her get up. And she was like, "Hey, Julie, come on over here. Help me pull up on the back of my pants, will you? Just help me out of the chair." And she was like, "Yeah, sure." And so my mom came over, and as soon as she yanked on the back of her pants, she just... And my Aunt Al, without skipping a beat, she goes, "Some stay in, some don't."
Dude, old people have some of the best sayings. So at my grandpa's funeral, my dad's dad, it was probably one of if not the last things he ever said. So, and I think I might have said this on the podcast. I know I've told Adam. I don't know if I've told you, Joseph, but my grandpa, the day before he died. The day before he died, my aunt was in the hospital bed, and my grandpa was fairly overweight, and he had his underwear kind of digging into his skin.
Yeah.
And so,
I remember
this. Again, this is one of the last things he ever said. He goes, Jer, who's my aunt's name, Jer, this underwear is really uncomfortable. Can you bring me a new pair tomorrow? And Jer goes, "Yeah, Dad. Of course, 100%. I'll be here in the morning." Night rolls around, or morning comes around, and she brings up the underwear, and she goes, Dad, hey, I brought your underwear. Brought your new underwear. And he goes, "Don't worry about it, Jer." My aunt goes, "What are you talking about, Dad? You told me to bring you underwear last night." "What do you mean, don't worry about it?" And he goes, "I got it taken care of." And she kind of looks at him and goes, "What? Dad, I'm sorry, you said what now?" And my grandpa goes, Jer, let me just tell you something. As you get older, you really don't care who takes your pants off as long as it gets off.
Thank you, nurse. Thank you, nurses all around the world for what you do.
Seriously.
That reminds me of a joke I heard recently we'll shift into this real quick. So there's 3 old guys sitting in an old folks' home.
Peeve.
And they're talking. excuse me, and they're talking, and they're like complaining to each other about just bowel movements and different things. The first guy goes, "Man, I'd give anything to have a good pee in the morning. Like I'd give anything to just, go to the toilet, and it's not just a bunch of splurts. Like it's a good waterfall. Like,
It's a stream.
It's a stream. It's good. I love it." The second guy goes, "Man, I feel the same way about taking shits. Man, if I could have a solid one and it wasn't weird and I didn't have to rush to the bathroom because I felt it all of a sudden, I would love it if I just, Third guy goes, "Man, I tell you what, about 7 o'clock every morning, I have the most tremendous piss. Just waterfall comes out like no problem. I can feel it. I can smell it. It's just perfect." And he goes, "And then about 7:30, I have just the most incredible BM you've ever seen in your life every single morning." The other two guys are like, "What the hell are you complaining about?" And he goes, "Well, I don't get out of bed until 9.
That's great. That's a good one.
All right. What other pet peeves? You have any more?
Mine's kind of a funny, weird, personal one.
That's what we're here for.
Wait, one that you do personally?
Yeah,
All right.
So-
So you pet peeve yourself.
I do.
That's
Oh,
impressive.
That's special.
That is That is self-awareness.
Well,
That's
it's
perfect.
you would be annoyed with yourself too if you did this. Where like you're going, like let's say you're walking up to a door to and you're reaching for the door handle. Sometimes I'll stop too soon and it's just out of reach. I'm like, but then I don't move. I don't take that extra step. I try to reach for it. I'm off balance and it's awkward. Or there'll be something on the counter and I'm walking up to it and either I'll walk too much and I kind of like stub my toe on the counter, or again it's out of reach. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And it'll just be just out of reach or too much.
I totally get that.
That's a personal pet peeve. And I think to myself, Joseph, what is wrong with you? Learn to walk. And so what I do now is, because I'm old enough to know better, is I have to like consciously tell myself,
One more step.
one more step. Don't stop until you're right there. And I'll plan that little X on the, I'll picture the X on the floor.
You have a mark.
Kind of like Leah.
Yeah.
She's got her mark. And I'll picture where I need to stop. And I'll walk right up to it. I'll pick it up. And I'll do an about face, and I'll walk away, and it's like, nailed it.
Hey,
All right.
I still got it.
you let
Bug
me
boy.
know
Yeah.
when you consciously think one more step and all of a sudden your face is in the window of the door. Please tell me. One more step. Wham!
I'm going to send you a text with a bird emoji and a glass window.
He
you
doesn't
will
have
know
to
what I
say
mean.
anything. He just has to send a mark of the a picture of the red mark on his forehead.
Yeah.
It's like, one more step.
I did it. It happened.
What's funny to
one too
me
many.
is like I see that sometimes.
Yeah.
Where guys are just like, or anybody who just like they do something that doesn't seem right because their brain thinks they've already done enough. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Like taking that extra step.
Yep.
And so as a passerby or as an onlooker, it's hysterical because then you're watching a normally very, a self-proficient person, I would assume. It's like, bah. And you're reaching and you're like, are you having a stroke? You okay?
Be a good friend and just give him a little nudge in the back. You're like,
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate
thank you, my good sir. You saw I was impolite and you assisted me.
Something similar kind of happened when we went to Stolac Whiskey, the distiller. The
Stone Ledge, yeah.
Yeah, the tasting room down in Defiance, which I would say go visit.
Go.
It's
Incredible.
it's fantastic.
Yep.
Our buddy Mark does Stolac Whiskey,
Yep.
and they did the tasting room down there.
Yeah.
And when we went down there to go celebrate, and I came walking in, there's a fairly big step kind of getting through the front door, and I came up, and Mark greeted us.
Yeah.
And he reached in, and this is like right after I tore the ligament in my hand, my
Yeah.
right hand, by the way. So that's the hand I shake hands with, of course.
Sure.
And so I go in to shake his hand, and he squeezed my hand, and I go, that hurts. And for some reason, I kept walking, and I kind of like stumbled into his chest. So I will say, Mark is 6'5".
He's a large human.
I'm not. So I kind of like headbutted his chest as I came in, almost like a hug, like a handshake, then a hug.
kind of a
But
retarded
he was
hug.
not expecting a hug at all. And so when I came in, I shook his hand and kind of like tripped/slipped into his chest. And I would go, uh-oh. And then he kind of looked down at me like, what? He was
Hi,
like,
Dad.
I kind of looked up at him and I go, you know what? I'm going to the bar.
See, I would have taken that moment and like held your head and be like, "It's all right, buddy. You're good."
Oh, see, in my, I think back
caress.
about, I think back on that, and I was like, you know, it'd be so funny if I would have just looked up and be like, you know, this is kind of awkward. But
What? Oh, nice.
we're on the episode. Quit checking
Sorry,
your phone.
I finally got some good news. The roof that I had going on, they actually finished after 3 days, which it should only take one, but because of the weather and all the stuff, and then there was material mistakes, and it's part of being, a manager of people.
Yeah, it happens.
You got to guide them through things. Sometimes treat them like toddlers.
Yeah.
100%. Take him by the hand.
You guys got anything else? Any other pet peeves? You guys got any? Please comment. Please let us know.
Just when your wife gets pregnant really fast.
Adam knows all
Pet
about that.
peeve. We are expecting our second after.
Oh man,
Yeah, buddy.
that's amazing.
It's pretty awesome. No,
That's
so
awesome.
my son is 5 months old, and I was not thinking. Usually
Clearly.
when you're when you're breastfeeding, like it takes longer to get
When
pregnant.
she's breastfeeding, let's. I know it's 2025, buddy, but I know who you are. So
You know me, yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know how else to say that. It's kind of like when someone says, like when you say, "Oh yeah, my wife and I are pregnant." It just
are you?
how,
Not
how
at the same
Wait a
time.
minute. You both are?
Twins.
People start apologizing to you.
You guys are overthinking. You're overthinking this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry.
It is
Pet peeve.
2025.
Yeah.
You know, men can get pregnant too. right?
Anyways, that was just my funny way of announcing that my wife is pregnant. But it did happen faster than we expected.
So
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
your
yeah.
I'm
wife
not
being
complaining.
pregnant is a pet peeve?
No,
Just
it
that it happened so fast.
happened so fast.
It's like, do you have to be so fertile? Well,
Yeah, she's one of the outliers because typically, like I don't know,
and that's
9 months I think to
get
get pregnant again, and
It's the
4
average,
months.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and ours was, because Gideon and Ben are 14 months apart, and so it
our
was
2 kids are going to be a year and maybe 2 weeks.
wow. That's fantastic. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy, but it's fantastic.
No, I'm so happy.
All I'm
And-
going to
and
say
it's-
is, never mind. Well, it's nothing bad. I was just going to say, when you have it, use it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's what happens.
Right? Because there are plenty of married couples who I guarantee you there's probably one man or woman who probably listens to this going, those bastards.
Yeah, right.
They're bragging about that. Yet they've been trying for like 4 years. And
Well, but
this
here's-
is not like rubbing it in.
No,
I
no,
want to
100%.
let you know I'm not rubbing it in.
Yeah,
There are couples
Oh,
that
yeah.
like for years try.
we talked about this in the last, well, not the last, but a couple episodes ago. Yeah,
Cut me off.
that's right. I was adding to your conversation.
That was not.
I'll
added.
kill you. But
There was nothing, no substance there. Back to you, Dan.
substance in mine or his?
I was
It's like, wait a minute, there is substance in mine.
Yes, no, that's why I turned it back to you. I was telling Adam he had nothing to
Don't
add.
drink my whiskey. You just take my cup and slam it.
Pet peeve, pet peeve.
Yeah, this glass is about to end up in your face. But
Hey guys, we should create a new word. It's called a pet peevel.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what?
The pet peeve. You win for the biggest pet peeve if you perform it only though.
It's like
Sounds
an
like-
explanation. It's the action of performing a pet peeve. It's a pet peevel.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyways,
That sounds like a genetically disabled animal.
coming from one who is just
Have you guys seen the peevel? Those
Are
things
you
are
calling
weird.
me a genetically disabled animal?
no,
or yourself?
not at all. Definitely not. I wasn't calling you anything.
I was just calling you regularly
I don't know.
disabled.
That sounds like passive aggression to me.
Yeah.
I think you're.
Listen, this cigar's about to end up in your right shoulder.
I think you're hearing what you want to hear. Whatever.
I'm about to brand you with my initials.
All right. I totally derailed. What were you saying?
I was just going to say one of my favorite videos is this guy comes home from work and he's a blue collar worker.
Yep.
And on the kind of outer rims of the video, it says, me and my husband have been trying for almost like 6 years.
Oh yeah.
Trying to get pregnant. And finally, it was like on his birthday,
Oh wow.
she actually had a positive pregnancy test.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
And he just like, he fell to it. This is a dude who's probably about a little bit bigger than you, Adam.
Big boy.
Fell to his knees and just started weeping.
Yeah.
Because there are couples who are out there who have been religiously trying.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It's sad that those that can don't, and those that can't
do.
and but it is sad. It's
Well,
I think
if those who can't didn't, then I wouldn't be here.
There you go. Well, and that's the thing is I think God made it that way where it's like it's fun to keep trying. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not a chore to keep trying. You know
if
what
it
I'm saying?
is, that's a sad marriage.
You're not doing it right, pal. That's right.
Or you're with the wrong person.
That's my point.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was I remember those days where, we were like, all right, cool. I remember when we had Gideon and then, the twins from my previous, I don't want to call it a mistake because they're here, right? But my previous entanglement.
Well, and that wasn't a mistake either.
What do you mean?
So I want to say nothing in life is ever a mistake because God uses everything.
Well,
it may be a mistake. So in the instance, I do want to preface, it may be a mistake. You may have made a mistake morally.
Romans 8:28.
God uses everything.
Romans 8:28. God works out for the good of all God
works all things for the good of those who love him.
Yes, works out all things. Right,
but that's not a hall pass.
Correct.
Do
I'm
whatever
not
the hell you
saying
want.
go out and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
God will use
It's
it.
okay. It's all gonna be glorified.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the sin of presumption, and
that's also sin. So
that's also sin.
Yeah, we had Gideon and we were like, okay, cool. We've got three, and we're good. And then God
said, "Hold my beer."
Like a month later, she was like, "So, I'm late," and I was like, "For work?" And she goes,
Sort of.
And I was like, "How about with the groceries? Like, please, anything." And she goes, "No, it's a couple lines too late." Like the lines on the pregnancy test.
She goes, I'm pregnant.
And then, and that was a miracle in itself because we do NFP and we were charting fairly decently. And then, we were like, okay, cool. So we've got 4 kids now. So Ben was born. And then I want to say, because I think, so Emmeline and Ben are like 18 months apart. So about 4 months after Ben was born. No, 6 months after Ben was born.
Yeah.
We were charting. We were doing great. The go time was go time and not time was not time.
You guys were charting the wrong thing.
And it was a flat out miracle that our little girl was conceived. Like, should not have happened scientifically at all. And so,
well, you guys know that all 4, almost 6 of us Keithleys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've told you guys this. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. So, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, thanks for telling me. But
Here we go.
my mom was on numerous different types of contraception for all 4 of us. Actually, no, 6 of us. Two of us didn't make it, or 2 of us didn't make it full.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple different. We've got a couple siblings in heaven. But yeah, all 4 of us. Like the doctor was like, it was like the types of contraception that they say over 90% chance that you won't get pregnant. And all of a sudden God goes, I like those odds.
Right. And it's
try me.
Well, I think conception is one of the clearest signs that God shows himself. Because he's like, it doesn't matter what you want.
You can try all you want to play God.
100%. Yeah.
But when I speak, things are made.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Nature finds a way.
That's right.
God finds a way.
Well, yeah.
Nature is God's creation.
No, God finds a way to manipulate nature, and then nature finds a way. So I get your point. Hey, it's fine. Pet peeves. So
you're my pet peeve.
This moment,
another pet peeve is a guy
people who are gray-haired by 34.
Yeah, because it's all the children. So
Silver Fox.
Oh, this was so much fun. Thank you all so much for joining us at the table. Put your pet peeves below. Talk to us about your your bugaboos, the things that bug you, and maybe we can help. Probably not.
And I will say, if you're on Apple or Spotify, we know you can't comment. So go to YouTube and comment.
We have
Stogie Joe.
What the hell?
I don't have a cool nickname. Adam.
And Dirty Dan.
Oh, dang it, I don't have anything.
You have 2 first names, and it's the same.
You don't get a nickname.
Adam
you
Adams.
jackass.
Right.
Thanks for joining us at the table. We'll see you next time.
Or not.